it out. Can you find me in there an item which goes with another item which leads to a concept? Anyone want to try? Just call out two numbers of the items that you think measure the same thing. Yep. 1 and 3, and what do you think they are measuring? Yeah, and there'll be others in there. Anyone see any others that go with 1 and 3?
8.
Who?
8.
12, yep.
8.
Now I can check this. The joy of this is once you've answered these, and I'm going to ask you to leave them to me, I can submit these to a computer, your answers obviously, and I can see if the person who most agreed with one of them in that batch most agrees with the other in that batch. So if I now look down, I'm going to be looking at 1, 3. It could be 6 is ambiguous. 8 is a little ambiguous. 12 is fine. 15 is fine. And that's probably enough for it. 22, no, going to be a different batch, according to the theory. They were generated by people who have taken the theory and have tried to interpret it in terms of statements. So that theory you're looking at is called efficacy theory. It means that it is functional. It is just functional. It's efficient. It works. So there is now, if that were true, if people were willing to do what works, then it would be your job to convince them it works at a cost. So in a minute I'm going to ask you, how are you going to deal with these teachers? My guess is, according to previous research we've already done, about 30% of the teachers out there will buy into that as an explanation. They will say to you, but it works. Or, I don't know what else to do. Same thing. It's either a useful, quick, sharp thing, or I've run out of ideas, I've tried. Anyone heard this? I've tried everything with this kid. Okay? That's sort of the same thing, but it's to do with being able to deal with this in terms of, I suppose it's you either got the skills or you haven't, basically. If you've got the skills, you might justify them on the grounds that they're efficient and short and sharp and they work, or you haven't got anything else that does work. So, but it's all about what works. Okay, so that's one theory. Find me another theory. Yeah? 5, 10 and 22. Correct. That's the one we've had most trouble measuring to date. What do you think 5, 10 and 22 have in common? How would you use that as an explanation? What caused it? No, you're not, maybe. You're
the relationship between teacher and student, and it's making the teacher feel as if, sort of unloved almost. Yeah. It's called attachment theory. So there is a theory out there which says, and I think this has got legs if we could just measure the damn thing, and we're finding it really difficult, because I've just done some work in China which shows this is more attractive to Chinese teachers than Australian teachers, that I feel the need to connect to these students. I actually got into the business because I wanted to connect to students in some way. I wanted them to love learning, or I wanted them to love physics, and I want them to like me too. But if you're a primary teacher, you'd rather they connected to you directly, but if you're a secondary teacher, you're happy if they connect through your subject. So you are accepting me when you turn on to maths. This is acceptance of me, in a sense. That's called, in this way, my need to connect to you are being met when you connect, but when you don't connect, you have frustrated my needs. I am hurt, and I act out of hurt. Sometimes, there's one in there that's a new one, which I just picked up from Phil Riley to try.
sometimes actually do it to keep you at a distance. Let's see, I don't know where it's gone. Anyone find it? 17, no. 7, yeah. And it's funny that 7 and 13, the same theory, attachment theory. In other words, everything's got to be safe here. The level of attachment has to be kept out. Some people need it, some people need to keep that attachment under control. So it depends, it's still the same theory, but it'll be interesting to see what people say. As I said to you, I've already got data that from China, they are more into that than they are into the other explanations. And that could be because they're still sort of like parents. They're expected to be parents in the classroom too. And I suppose there'd be other cultures like that too. We used to be more like that, but we're becoming a bit less like them. Now I think, it's no longer loco parentis, it is, due care or something. Yeah. Duty of care, that's it. So we've moved away from that. They're not there yet. They've still got loco parentis. And so if you daydream in China, you have failed to connect. That is a form of rejection. When you reject me, I get upset. I feel less of a person even. I have failed in some form, and then I will overreact. So that's the second one. And the third one, anyone got any ideas? Because in a minute I'm going to ask you what are you going to do about this, of course. Third one. 4 and 11. Yep. How would you interpret that? Putting it back on the parents or the kid. It wouldn't matter. There's a mother in there or the kids. Let's see. 17. 23. Yep. That's called attribution theory. I say that these kids either need it or they don't respond to anything else. It's a function of the kid. Okay? So I'm doing it because it's necessary. It's like almost meeting their need, but in a sort of twisted way. It's necessary. Now what's interesting about that is the kind of support you would offer would differ depending on which of these theories you project. So attribution theory says, I'm not responsible. Someone noticed that already. It's just inevitable because they're ejecting me and it's hurtful. Or they're ejecting my subject. Can you imagine you're up until 2 a.m. in the morning preparing this phenomenal lesson in maths? It's so clever and insightful and entertaining and engaging, and then some kid called Jason destroys the entire lesson. Of course you're going to be upset. They've rejected you through your material. That's that. Now, if you're interested in that as an explanation and you come across a teacher who you think this explains a fair bit about, take down the name Philip Riley, because he is at Monash and he works specifically in this field. Philip Riley is very good at this stuff. He actually is a psych as well, and he works with teachers around attachment, and he says in 6 2-hour sessions he can readjust their need for attaching to kids to a reasonable level, which makes them less vulnerable to this sort of reaction. I don't think we can do much about these people, this theory, in what you do, other than maybe ask them how important is it. Oh, actually, I know what I could do. Have I got time? Yeah, I've got it. Okay, I'll give you a game. You ready? Write down the numbers 1 to 10. I think I can. 1 to 10. I wonder if I've got it here.